our discussion now. Chetna, Sameer, Jatinder,
Yes.
Vipul, can you hear me?
Yes.
Let's start
Yes, sir.
our discussion now. Wait. So we are again going to discuss about introduction and initial configuration. This topic, we are here on chapter number 1, introduction and initial configuration. And into this topic, we can focus on interface configuration. Interface. So like other vendor, like other devices, we can configure here physical interfaces and logical interfaces. So physical interfaces means what? If you check here onto this firewall, onto this Fortinet firewall box, if you check, we have 4 physical interfaces. Let me show you. Wait. You log in. Show system interface. You can see, guys, we have 4 interfaces, 4 physical interfaces. Port number 1, port number 2, port number 3, port number 4. Okay, wait. I need to reset this firewall box. Okay, if you want to reset your firewall device, so you can use this command execute factory reset. It will ask you for, do you want to continue, yes or no? You can type yes, press enter. You can restart your firewall box. So to reset, you can use this command execute factory reset. So now, okay, this will take time. So we can focus on physical interface configuration and logical interface configuration. What is logical interface? Any idea? What is logical interface? We can configure physical interfaces and logical interfaces. Any idea about logical interfaces? Jatinder?
Yeah, loopback interfaces which will never come down.
Loopback is an example. Loopback interface. Any other?
Virtual interface.
Virtual interface. Loopback is a good option. Any other? Any idea about logical interfaces, everyone? Try to
Like
have
HSRP, for that also we'll be using
HSRP is what? It's a virtual, it's a different thing.
Oh yeah.
HSRP you are using for redundancy, okay? But I'm
Yeah,
talking about what? Interfaces. I'm talking about interfaces. Wait. I'm trying to configure IP address on port number 1 because port number 1 we are using as a management port. I'm using 192.168.1.190 in my topology. You can use any IP address. So done IP address configuration on port number 1. Wait, I'm trying to access this firewall box. 192.168.1.190. Username is admin, and I'm using password 123. 123. Okay, so here's the option. If you want to configure interfaces, you can click on network, you can click on interfaces, and you can see, guys, here onto this firewall device, we have 4 physical interfaces. Port number 1, port number 2, port number 3, and port number 4. Remember, guys, our port number 1 configuration through CLI 190 IP address we are using. These are the services we are using through CLI console. Now I want to configure port number 2, but not through CLI option. I want to configure port number 2, 3 through a graphical page. So IP address we have, see, 192.168.1.190. Show system interface. You can verify IP address information 190. I'm trying to configure IP address on port number 2, but with graphical page. What you can do, you can select this interface. You can click on edit. You can click on edit and you can see I'm trying to edit this port number 2. Edit interface port number 2. So first you can give an alias name. Alias name is what? Alias is just a description. For example, this port I'm using for LAN network, or I'm using for marketing network. So you can define alias name here. For example, I'm using for LAN. It's just a name. Now you can select role. You can select role. If you guys are familiar with the Cisco ASA, if you guys are familiar with the Cisco ASA firewall, so in Cisco ASA, we have predefined keyword. In Cisco ASA firewall, we have predefined keyword. It's called inside. Any idea? Inside. INSIDE. If you go on any interface, in Cisco ASA, and if you type this predefined keyword, INSIDE, so the interface will get a security level 100. For example, if you type this keyword on 0/0, so this interface will get a security level 100. It's a predefined option on Cisco ASA. Same on Fortinet, what we have predefined role. See, if you click here, you can see LAN role, WAN role, and DMZ. So we have predefined role. If you want to select these roles, you can. Otherwise, you can go with the undefined. It means you can decide what you want to configure. So for example, if I'm using LAN role, this predefined role, once you select this option, you can see option is changed here. If you select WAN option, see, configuration option is changed. If you select DMZ, option is changed. So you can select role, these predefined role as per your requirement. But right now I'm not using these role. I'm going with the undefined because I want to configure manually everything. So undefined option role I'm using. Now our task is what? I'm trying to configure IP address onto this port number 2. And you can see we have two options. Either you can configure IP address through manual option, or you can configure through static, or you can configure with the DSCP option. Here we have one more tab is called one arm sniffer. In Fortinet, you can say one arm sniffer. In PALO ALTO firewall box, you can say tap interface. So what is one arm sniffer concept? You can discuss here in login and monitoring. Here we will discuss what is one arm sniffer. But right now our focus is on to configure IP address onto this interface. So I'm trying to configure. And I'm trying to configure IP address through manual option, through static IP address. So as per our topology, you can see as per our topology, I'm trying to configure IP address here on port number 2, 200 network. So 200, 200, 200.0 I'm using. So let's configure IP address here, 200.200.200.1/24. By default on port number 1, these services are enabled on port number 1. But you can see on port number 2, nothing is allowed. So on these data interfaces, nothing is allowed by default. So you can enable services onto this port. So these are the services. For example, HTTPS service, ping service, FMG access. What is FMG access? If you want to allow Forti manager to access this FortiGate firewall box, so you need to enable this FMG access protocol. It's called FGFM protocol. So you can select this checkbox, FMG access, SSH service, you can enable SNMP, FTM40 token, multiple options are there. So you can enable services on port number 2. Right now, I'm trying to enable ping service only. Ping service. Now you can see guys, here we have option as receive LLDP and transmit LLDP. Any idea about LLDP? It's a CCNA topic. Any idea about
link local discovery protocol,
link layer
like
discovery,
CDP?
link layer discovery protocol.
Link layer. Okay.
Link layer. What is LLDP? Any idea? Vipul, Samir, Jatinder, Sachin?
It's a kind of I mean I'm just giving the example of CDP, Cisco Discovery Protocol. I
Okay.
mean if we can enable this, we can see the the port information in the non Fortinet devices.
You are talking about LLDP or CDP?
I'm talking about the LLDP because
LLDP.
I have seen this.
Okay, see, CDP is what, guys? If you guys are familiar with the CCNA, So CDP is a Cisco Discovery Protocol, right? CDP is by default enabled on Cisco devices. If you want to know about your directly connected device information, your directly connected device. And in case if you are working with Cisco devices, only Cisco devices, so you can go with the CDP. By default, CDP is enabled. No need to enable on Cisco devices. But in case if I'm working in a multi-vendor scenario, for example, I have Cisco, Juniper, okay, Palo Alto, Checkpoint, Fortinet, multi-vendor scenario, and I want to know directly connected device information. So what I can do, I can go with the open standard protocol. It's called LLDP, Link Layer Discovery Protocol. By default, it's not enabled on any vendor. By default, it's not enabled. Okay, you can enable this. See, here is the option, enable or disable, up to you. Okay, so LLDP option is there. You can enable, you can disable as per your requirement. Now, you can enable DSCP service onto this port number 2. For example, here LAN side, I have a switch, for example, switch and multiple computers in LAN side. I want to provide IP address onto these machines through DSCP service. So you can enable DSCP on port number 2. Here is the option you can enable. You can just enable DSCP service. Concept is same, guys. DSCP. You can provide IP address dynamically. So concept is same. Story is same. Here you can implement like other devices, like other vendor. You can configure DSCP onto this port. See, we are using 200, 200, 200 network. So 200, 200, 201 we are using on port number 1. So range start with 200, 200, 202 to 254. So you can define range, you can define mask, you can define gateway, DNS, lease time, up to you. I'm not configuring, I'm only giving you an idea. You can enable DSCP service onto this particular port. Right now, our focus is on what? IP address configuration. So yes, we are using 200, 200, 200.1. You can click on OK. You can click on OK. See, LAN port number 2, IP address we are using 200, 201. If you want to verify through CLI, so you can verify here. Show system interface. So yes, we are using IP address on port number 2, 200, 200, 200.1. Clear now how to configure any physical interface? Chetna, Jatinder, Sachin, Sameer, Vipul. In case if you want to configure any physical interface, you can just select your interface. You can click on edit and you can edit. Clear now?
Yes.
Now, what about logical interfaces? What about logical interfaces? In logical interfaces, we have loopback. Okay. Any other option? Remember, guys. Yes.
So,
channel.
so we can give as alias IPs.
Alias IP. Alias is just a description, Samir.
No, I mean to say like you use the word loopback, right? So for example, if I want to give, there is one LAN IP, and if I want to give multiple IPs like loopback IPs, so can I use the word alias? Like for example,
no. There is no any alias word.
Okay.
There is no any alias word. Alias is just right now here. Alias we are using just for description. Logical interfaces. Do you have any idea about logical? Do you have any idea about loopback? Why we
loopback is used for testing purpose, sir.
Exactly, testing. Okay, so loopback never down, so we can create loopback like other vendors. Ether channel, everyone.
Okay, sir.
Ether channel, guys. Remember Ether channel from CCNA classes? Ether channel, we have two options: L2 Ether channel or L3 Ether channel. Right now, we are working with L3 device, so we can focus on L3 Ether channel. No problem. But Ether channel is a logical interface, right? Yes or no? Vipul, Sachin?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Vipul?
Redundancy, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So we can create up to 8 Ether channels.
It's dependent on vendor, Samir, okay?
Okay, sir.
On vendor, yes. Vipul, can you hear me? Vipul? Okay, so we have Ether channel, right? VLAN interface, everyone. VLAN interface, it's a logical interface, right? So let's check here. We have some option. If you want to create logical interfaces like other vendor, you can click on create. You can click on interface, and you can see, guys, we have multiple options: aggregate interface, loopback interface, redundant interface, software switch interface, and VLAN interface. Wi-Fi SSID is not your topic. So we can work with these logical interfaces. So let's start our discussion with VLAN interface. Where we can use VLAN interface, everyone? Any idea where we can use VLAN interface? VLAN interface. Let's talk about a scenario. Wait. For example, I have one FortiGate firewall box. One FortiGate firewall box, and this box is connected with a switch. And in LAN side, we have multiple VLANs, for example, VLAN 10, okay, VLAN 20, VLAN 30. So this is what VLAN 10. IP address, we are using 192.168.10. network. This is VLAN 20, 192.168.20.0, VLAN 30, 192.168.30.0. Now this port, this is what port number 2, for example, everyone. Port number 2. So we are using port number 2, single port we have. Now you can see, guys, in each VLAN we are using different subnet, right, everyone? In each VLAN we are using different subnet, and each subnet is required default gateway IP address, right? Yes or no? Each VLAN is required
Yes.
default gateway IP address. So we have a single port. So on single port, I cannot configure multiple IP address. No. So what we can do, if you guys remember sub interfaces concept in CCNA, here is the same option. Jatinder, Sachin, Samir, Chetna, Vipul, we have the same option. What we can do, behalf of this physical interface, we can create multiple logical interfaces. We can create multiple VLAN interfaces here. For example, I can create VLAN 10 interface, VLAN 20 interface, VLAN 30, VLAN 10, 192.168.10.1, for example, IP address I'm using. For VLAN 20, I'm configuring 20.1, VLAN 30, 192.168.30.1. So for VLAN 10 computers, VLAN 10 computers, this IP address is acting as a gateway. For VLAN 20, this IP address is acting as a gateway. For VLAN 30, this IP address is acting as a gateway. Clear my point? Clear my point, everyone?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Now, what about this link? Can anyone help me? What about this interface?
Trunk. It should be trunk.
Thank you so much. It should be trunk. Trunk. What is trunk? Trunk consists VLAN databases, right? So VLAN 10 traffic will travel via trunk link, VLAN 20, VLAN 30. I hope it's clear where we can use, where we can create, in this scenario, we can create VLAN interfaces. Clear now, my point?
Yes.
Yes.
Now
sir.
let's create a VLAN interface, for example. So you can click on create new. You can click on interfaces, and here is the option. You can give a name. For example, type is what? VLAN. So you can give any name. For example, VLAN 10. Alias. So this is marketing, for example. I have a single interface. Okay, I have a single interface. So single interface is port number 4, for example. Now you can attach your VLAN ID. So VLAN ID is a VLAN 10. And now IP address you can configure. So 192.168.10.1/24 ping service. Click on OK. Now you can expand your port number 4. You can see here we have marketing VLAN interface, VLAN 10 interface. You can click on create new. You can click on interface, and let's create VLAN 20. So VLAN 20 sales, for example, interfaces. Again, we have a single interface, port number 4. VLAN ID, VLAN ID is VLAN 20. IP address, we are using 192.168.20.1/24. Ping service, click on OK. Let's click on create new again, create new interface. And now it's a VLAN 30 and it's a HR VLAN, for example. I have a single interface, port number 4, VLAN ID is VLAN 30, IP address, we are using 192.168.30.1/24. Ping service, click on OK. Done. If you expand your port number 4, you can see, guys, we have 3 VLAN interfaces. Clear now my point, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, so now let's click on create new again. So how to create VLAN interfaces, I hope it's clear. So let's move on to the next option. It's called aggregate. So what is aggregate interface? Ether channel. Ether channel is known as aggregate interface in Fortinet. So if you guys are remember Ether channel, what is Ether channel? Can anyone help me? What is Ether channel? Sachin, Chetna, Jatinder, Sabir.
It helps in redundancy. For
The
example,
port channel.
so for example, if I am creating one link via trunk link, okay, I can create multiple links on that same port. And suppose if one goes down, simultaneously with the help of that Ether channel, I can allow another link.
This is Ether channel,
So
Samir.
yeah, Ether channel only.
Any other can try? What is Ether channel? Samir, I'm not talking about redundant interface. I'm talking about Ether channel. Samir, okay?
Ether channel.
The bandwidth we can increase by
Exactly.
uh,
We can
Oh,
combine, we
okay.
can increase the
Okay.
bandwidth. For example, see, here we have 3 port number 2, port number 3, and port number 4. On each interface, we have a bandwidth 1 Gbps, 1 Gbps, 1 Gbps. So in Ether channel, we can combine these 3 interfaces, or you can say you can aggregate the bandwidth of these interfaces and can create a single logical port. It's called port channel. So Samir, what we can do in Ether channel or in port channel, we can combine these 3 interfaces and we can increase bandwidth. Clear?
Yes,
So
sir.
now we have a single link, single interface with 3 GB speed. Clear my point?
Yes.
Everyone?
Allows
So
in
same
yeah.
yes, Samir.
Yeah, it helps in for bandwidth consumption, reduction of bandwidth consumption. Is that correct?
What is Ether channel? It's a CCNA story. My point is what I'm telling you, how to create Ether channel on Fortinet. Clear my point, everyone?
Yes.
Everyone? So
Yes.
let's create Ether channel. Wait, guys, I need to add more interfaces because I have a single interface here. Wait, please wait 2 minutes.
So got it. It is for the fault tolerance.
Yes.
Yeah, got it, sir.
You can combine multiple physical interfaces and can
Physical to one logical interface.
you can aggregate the bandwidth of these links and can create a single port.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
So same option, aggregate interface, we can create here. How to create aggregate or ether channel? You can click on network. You can go into the interface tab. You can click on create new interface, and you can select option. So I'm looking for aggregate interface. You can select, you can give a name, for example, ether 11. It's just a name, just a name. You can combine your interfaces, for example, port number 5 and 6. And it's a L3 ether channel. So yes, you can configure IP address 192.168, for example, 30.30.30.1/24 ping service. You can click on OK. I hope it's clear, Jatinder, how to create ether channel on Fortinet. Samir, Vipul,
Yes,
Sachin,
Yes, yes,
Chetna.
sir.
Now click on create new, click on interface, and now let's talk about next logical interface option. So you can go with the loopback interface, guys. You can, like other vendor, like other devices, you can create loopback for testing. So type, you can select loopback, and I'm using name loopback11, just a name. So it's a logical interface 50.50.50.50/32. I can use /32 because it's a logical interface. I'm not connecting any PC, any machine with this interface. So I can use /32. Ping service, click on OK. Okay, now, yes, we have a loopback interface, ether channel, and VLAN interfaces. Now click on create new, click on interfaces, and now let's talk about next option. It's called a redundant interface. What is redundant interface? See guys, here we have aggregate and redundant. What is the difference between both? So in aggregate, what we are doing, we are trying to combine, we are trying to aggregate the bandwidth of these links, and we can create a single logical port with 3 GB speed, right? But in a redundant interface, what we can do, we can, in here we can combine interfaces. Same option, we are combining interfaces, but we are not increasing bandwidth. Why it's required? Wait, for example, here we have a port, it's called port number 6, for example. This port number 6 is connected with a switch, and here we have computers, for example. So on port number 6, everything is configured fine. Okay, IP address configuration is done. Everything is done onto this port. Traffic is traveling via this port. Now, in case if this link goes down, for example, maybe some issue, this link goes down. So what you can do in real scenario, if this link goes down, everything is configured onto this port, everyone. In case if this link goes down, what you can do in real scenario, you can unplug this cable, right? And you can plug this cable in another port, for example, port number 7, and you can configure everything here, right? Everyone, every configuration I need to configure on port number 7. Yes or no? Everyone,
so can you just repeat this again?
wait. Okay, everyone, can you hear me? Chetna, Jatinder, Sachin, Samir, Vipul. What is the scenario to
Yes.
use this redundant interface where we can use? For example, I'm telling you, I have port number 6, and port number 6 is connected with the switch. And on port number 6, everything is configured. For example, IP address, alias, okay, services, everything is configured. This port is working fine. Jatinder, Vipul, Sachin, Samir, Chetna, clear my point?
Okay.
This port is working fine.
Yes.
Traffic is traveling. Now, in case maybe some issue, this link is down, this port is not working, for example, then what you can do in real scenario, what you can do if this port is not working, you will troubleshoot this link, this interface later, no problem. But right now, what you can do, you can unplug this cable, right? You can unplug this cable and you can plug on another port. For example, I have port number 7. So this port is not working. So I can connect my cable with port number 7 and I need to configure same configuration on port number 7, right? Yes or no?
Yes.
This will take time.
Yes,
This
sir.
will take time. It's a manual task.
Yes, sir.
This will take time. It's a manual task. Port number 6 is down. Now I'm trying to unplug and plug this cable on port number 7. I need to configure same IP address, services, everything. This will take time. It's a manual task. That's why what we can do into the scenario, what we can do, we can combine these two interfaces. What we can do, we can combine these two interfaces. For example, port number 7 I can combine these two interfaces and can create redundant interface. Once you combine these two interfaces, so one interface is acting as an active and one interface is acting as a passive. And once you combine, you can create what? This redundant interface. You can configure IP address. For example, interface name is red1 and you can configure IP address 60.60.60.1/24. Now, into this interface, we have two physical port number 6 and port number 7. Port number 6 is active, port number 7 is passive. It means standby. If port number 6 is down, no problem. Traffic is traveling via this port number 7 because port number 7 is now acting as a active port. Clear the concept where we can use this redundant interface concept?
Yes.
So what we can do,
Yes.
here is an option like Cisco ASA, like other vendor, we can create this interface. You can give a name, for example, red22. You can give any name. Interfaces, I have two interfaces I can combine. You can configure IP address, for example, 22.22.22.1/24. Click on select ping service, click on OK. Done. Done. Redundant interface. Clear this option how to configure our physical interfaces and our logical interfaces, everyone? Clear now?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So this
Yes,
is our
sir.
topic. This is our topic. First topic is called introduction and initial configuration. This is our first topic.
Sir, I was having a question.
Sure,
Uh,
you can ask.
So sometimes we need to give a secondary IP as well. So how and what is the purpose?
Secondary IP address concept is a different thing. Okay, you are talking about this option. Secondary IP address, right? Secondary
Yes,
IP address is a backup IP address in case if there is some issue with this IP address, so I can go with the secondary IP address. Secondary is not a redundancy, Sachin. You are configuring another IP address on same interface. Clear? You have a single interface. Clear? My point?
Purpose, what is the
Purpose is
purpose?
what? In case this IP address, if we are not using this IP address, we don't want to use, or you can say you have one more gateway IP address, you can say. So on some computers, you can configure this IP address. On other computers, you can configure this secondary IP address. No problem. But most of the organizations, they are not using secondary IP address. But there is an option, but they are not using. Okay, Sachin.
Okay, yeah.
Any other question? Chetna, Jatinder, Vipul, Samir?
No, sir.
Okay.
No, sir. For now, clear.
Okay. Now let's focus on our next concept is called routing. So in routing, see, routing is what? Routing is a part of routing. Okay, routing concept we can configure on routing. Why we are configuring on firewall? Because we are working with next generation firewall. So we need to learn how to work with next generation firewall, how to use next generation firewall feature. But you know, like other vendor, Fortinet is giving you option in case if you want to configure routing, you can. You can, but for routing, we have a dedicated appliance. It's called router. But like other vendor, you can configure routing. So in routing, if you guys remember, we have multiple options. In routing, you can go with a static routing concept, right? Default routing, everyone, and dynamic routing concept. Dynamic routing. In dynamic routing, we have protocol, right? RIP, OSPF, and BGP. Everyone?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Here, I'm not telling you the story. I'm not telling you the story. What is static routing? What is default routing? What is dynamic routing? No, you guys are familiar with this because you guys are familiar with the router and switches. So you know what is this concept. Okay, my point is what I'm telling you how to configure it on Fortinet Firewall box. Here I'm telling you how to configure static, default, and dynamic routing. So let's start this configuration. So please wait 5 minutes because I need to create separate topology for routing configuration. Wait. You guys can configure routing in EVNG, no problem, but I'm using another application because I have multiple topologies here. So that's why I'm not using FTD. This one, I'm using another application, GNS3. Otherwise, you guys can do your lab, your practice, any practical in EVNG, no problem.
Sir, can you share the software to us, sir? And how to
Sure.
use it?
Today I will share it now. Okay. Actually, I have multiple batches. Okay. I have 12-hour batches in Saturday, Sunday.
Okay, sir.
I
No
will
problem.
free. I
Take
will
your
free.
time, sir.
Yes. Tomorrow I will share. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, everyone. So let's create a small topology for routing configuration, routing implementation. Port number 1, I'm using as a management port. Port number 2, we are using for LAN side. And port number 3, we are using as a WAN port. For root, I am creating loopback on both router. On R1, I'm creating 1.1.1, and on R2, let's create 2.2.2/32. So let's do our basic configuration. So you can see, guys, I'm configuring IP address on port number on R1. You can see on R1 we are using fast Ethernet 0/0. So let's configure IP address 200.200.200.10 and mask we are using /24 255.255.0. No shutdown. Let's create a loopback 1.1.1.1/32 show IP interface brief. Let's go on R2 outside router. Let's configure IP address on 0/0 10.1.23.10. No shutdown. Let's create a loopback 2.2.2.2/32 show IP interface brief. Now let's configure our firewall. So I'm configuring IP address on port number 1 because port number one is a management port. So into this topology, we can implement our static routing configuration, default routing, and dynamic routing. In dynamic routing, we can focus on RIP, OSPF, and BGP configuration. So this is our task. One 192.168.255.190 IP address I'm using into my topology. You can use any IP address in your topology. Username is admin, password we are using 123. Let's configure IP address on interfaces as per our topology. You can see guys, we are using 200 network on LAN site. This is LAN network. And 10.1.23. network we are using on port number 3. So let's configure IP address. Interface. Port number 2 we are using as a LAN port, so areas is a LAN and IP address 200.200.200.1/24 ping service. Click on OK. Port number 3 we are using as a WAN port, so alias is WAN. IP address 10.1.23.1/24 ping service. Click on OK. Done configuration. You guys can verify IP address information. Show system interface. So IP address on port number 2, IP address on port number 3. Any problem in basic configuration? Everyone clear now? Jatinder, Sachin, Samir,
Yes.
Vipul.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now let's focus on static and default routing configuration first. So before configuration, if you verify your routing table on firewall, Vipul, any question? Okay. So command is what? Get router info routing table all. So to verify routing table information on Fortinet, you can use this command on CLI, get router info routing table all. With this command, you can see your routing table information. So right now we have only directly connected interface information. So 10.1.23 directly connected, 192.168.255 directly connected, 200 network directly connected. So let's configure our static and default routing on Fortinet firewall box. So For routing configuration, what we can do for routing configuration, you can see guys, you can go into the network tab and here is an option, static route, right? And what? Advanced routing option, advanced routing option, advanced routing option. So in case if you are working with firewall box and if these options are not visible, for example, this advanced routing option is not visible in case, so what you can do, you can go into the system, you can click on feature visibility, and you can see guys, in core feature, advanced routing tab is enabled. If it is disabled, for example, if it is disabled, then you can go and check in network tab. In network tab, what you have, in network tab, you can only configure static route. Advanced routing options is not available. So in case if you are working with any firewall box and advanced routing options are not visible, then what you can do, you can go into the system, you can go into the feature visibility, you can enable this advanced routing option, click on apply. Now you can verify again in network tab. You can go into the network tab and you can see options are available. Let's focus on static and default routing first. So you can click on static route. So here you can create entry. This is not a routing table. Here you can create an entry. So you can click on create new. If you click on create new, you can see these options are available. To create new static route, these options are available, but these options are for IP version 4. IP version 4, static and default routing. In case if I'm working with IP version 6 and I want to configure static and default routing, then what you can do, you can go onto the system option, you can click on feature visibility, you can enable IP version 6, next generation IP. You can click on apply. Now you can click on network and you can verify again, click on network, click on static route. And now if you click on create new, both options are available, IP version 4 static route and IP version 6 static route. Our focus is on IP version 4, but no problem. I will tell you, I will give you the idea about IP version 6 static route. But right now in our topology, our focus is on IP version 4. So let's click on IP version 4 static route. Can we take a break for 5 minutes? Chetna, Jatinder, Sachin, Samir, Vipul.
Okay.
Yes, sir,
5
sure.
minutes,
Yes,
5
sir.
minutes. Then we can start. Please turn off your mic, everyone. Hello, hi everyone. Can you hear me? Chetna, Jatinder, Sameer, Vipul, Sachin.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's start our discussion now. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So into this topology, I'm trying to configure static and default route. Okay, what is our task? So for LAN side, for LAN network, I'm trying to configure static routing, and for WAN side network, I'm trying to configure default routing. This is our task. So let's go on firewall device, and you can click on. You can click on static route. You can click on create new. You can click on IP version 4 static route. And here is the option. See, syntax is same, everyone. If you guys remember static routing configuration syntax, so it's asking for destination, then gateway, and then exit interface. So syntax is same. So in destination, we have two options. Either you can go with the subnet option or you can go with the internet services. So let's go with the subnet option first. So in subnet option, what we can do, if you have destination information, for example, into this topology, I'm trying to configure static route for LAN side. So here we have a loopback. Our destination is what? Loopback 1.1.1.1/32. Gateway. So gateway we have 200.200.200.10. This is what? Router IP address. And our exit interface is LAN port number 2. Now you can configure your administrative distance in Fortinet. We have an administrative distance 10 for static and default routing. It's a 1 in Cisco, but in Fortinet 10. AD value for static and default routing. What is AD value?
It's a
Administrative distance.
trustworthiness of a routing protocol.
Yes. Least AD value is more preferred, right?
Preferred, yes. List is the
value.
best.
So now see, I'm not changing anything. Okay. Let's go with the 10. You can click on OK. You guys can click on OK, and you can see here's the entry. But to go on to this destination, gateway IP address is 200.200.10, and exit interface is LAN port number 2, and status is enable. Administrative distance is what? 10. And here is a one more option, priority. What is priority? I will tell you later. Okay, but right now you can see priority value is 0. Okay, let's create one more entry for outside network. So for outside, I'm configuring default route. So you can click on create new, you can click on IP version 4 static route. And what is default route syntax? Any network, any mask, and gateway. You can see as per our topology, gateway is 10.1.23.10. Now, exit interface is port number 3. You can click on OK. So here we have a two entry, static route for LAN side and default route for WAN side. Now you can verify routes information in routing table. So command is get router info, routing table all. So this time you guys can verify we have a default route for any unknown destination. Gateway is 10.1.23.10 and exit interface is port number 3. And for static route, see here we have a static route. For static route, if anyone trying to go on 1.1.1, gateway is 200.210. So we have two entry. One is for static route, one is for default route. If I have a route, in case if I have a route, so you can verify your connectivity. Execute ping 1.1.1. So I'm trying to verify my connectivity. I'm getting reply. Execute ping 2.2.2. I'm getting reply. Clear now how to create a static and default route? Everyone?
Yes.
Okay, now let's go on to the topology again. And here what I'm doing, here I'm talking about primary and secondary option into this topology. For example, this is what primary link. You can say it's a primary. and I have one backup link. Into this topology, what we have into this organization, we have a backup link. If primary goes down, then backup link will take the responsibility. So here we have a secondary link. Secondary link 10.1.32.network. So primary and secondary. If I'm working with this scenario, what we can do, let's configure IP address first on port number 4. So port number 3, port number 3, we are using as a WAN 1. So it's a WAN 1, and port number 4 is a WAN 2 secondary link. So let's configure IP address on port number 4. So WAN 2 IP address 10.1.32.1/24 ping service. Click on OK. So we have WAN 1 port number 3, WAN 2 port number 4. So let's create one more entry. So for unknown destination, everyone, for unknown destination towards ISP, we have an entry, right? For unknown destination, you can go via 10.1.23.10. I am creating one more entry for ISP side for unknown destination. So if anyone trying to go on any unknown destination, now gateway is 10.1.32.10 and exit interface is WAN port number 2, WAN 2 port number 4. And if I want to, please help me, everyone, please help me. If I want to use this route as a secondary, what I can do? Remember?
Priority.
I'm not using priority right now. Is there any option?
AD value.
AD value, right? What we can do here, we can use AD value. See, for example, I'm using 25. You can click on OK. So for unknown destination, we have two entry. You can see, guys, for unknown destination, 10.1.23.10 via this side, AD value is 10. We have another entry for unknown destination. If anyone trying to go on any unknown destination, we have another gateway via this side, AD value is 25. So in case if you check your routing table, information, wait, routing table, get router info, routing table all. So in routing table, what we have? Only best route, right? Only best route. So if you check your routing table here, in routing table, you have only this entry. If anyone trying to go any unknown destination, gateway is 10.1.23.10. This entry is not available. Why? Because AD value is 25. Clear my point, everyone?
Yes.
Yes.
But here we have a two entry. If I want to know about all possible route, then if I want to see all possible route, so get router info, routing table, database command you can use. In database command, you can see all possible route information. See, all possible route. For unknown destination, here we have a two entry. For unknown destination, we have two entry. Via this side, AD value is 25, and via this side, AD value is 10. AD value.
So I have a question. I mean,
Sure.
if one of the route goes down, then I mean, this is a live routing table, right?
Yes.
Okay, so if one of the route goes down, that route will not be able to display over here, right?
If one link goes down, then other will take the responsibility.
But that will be removed from this routing table, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's see, concept is same, Jatinder.
Okay.
See, primary and secondary concept is same. Here I'm telling you how to configure it on Fortinet.
Okay.
Clear? So my point is what? We have two entry. Via this side, AD value is 25. Via this side, AD value is 10. So you can see here, least AD value is more preferred. So this route is installed into the routing tables. This greater than symbol It's called what? It's called selected route. So this greater than symbol is via this side. So you can check your routing table, get router info routing table all. So we have a route for any unknown destination. You can go via 10.1.23.10. Clear the concept, my point? Sachin?
Yes.
Sachin, Vipul, Chetna, Jatinder, Samir? Sachin,
Yes,
any
yes.
question?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
No, sir.
Vipul? Vipul, can you hear me? Vipul, clear now?
No question, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
okay. Now, okay. So now, in case, right now we have different AD value. In case if I have same AD value, if you talk about metric in a static route, in default route, metric is what? AD value, right? In a static and default route, AD metric value is what? AD value. So let's take example. If we have the same AD value on both sides, via this side, we have a same AD value, same metric, you can say. Then what information we can get in our routing table? Both route will stall into the routing table, right? If we have multiple routes with same AD value or with same metric, all the routes will stall into the routing table, right? It's a simple routing concept. You guys can verify here. You guys can verify get router info routing table all. So for any unknown destination, both routes are available this time. So let's take example. I cannot change my AD value or metric. For example, I cannot change AD value or metric value here, but I want to work with primary and secondary. Then here we can use priority value concept. If I cannot change metric value here, so I can go with the priority option. See, you can go on to this route and you can click on advanced option, and you can see in priority, lower priority value is more preferred. So if in case if I want to use this route as a primary, so 10 I'm using, and this route as a secondary, so I'm using 35, for example. But it will check AD value first. Clear my point? It will check AD value first. If there is a tie in between metric value, so it will go and check the priority value. Clear my point? This concept?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, so this is what static and default routing configuration in IP version 4. In case if you want to configure static and default routing in IP version 6, so you can click on create new. You can click on IP version 6. And if you guys remember IP version 6 format, so IPv6 has 128 bit, right? It is in a hexadecimal format. So if you guys familiar with the format, so I can create an entry. See, asking for destination IP address, gateway IP address, and exit interface. So for example, destination IP address is 2001:10:/0/64. Gateway is 2001 colon, just example everyone, okay, :10:1:65:1, and exit interface is port number 5, for example. You can click on create. So yes, you can create static and default route entry in IP version 6. I hope it's clear now. We can focus on advanced routing configuration. Now we can focus on RIP, OSPF, and BGP configuration. So please wait. So I'm trying to delete these configuration because I want to implement RIP here into this topology. So in advanced routing, you can click on RIP. What is RIP? RIP is called Routing Information Protocol. In RIP, we have versions, right? Version 1, version 2. What is the difference in between version 1 and version 2? Can anyone help me?
So the authentication method in version 1, we cannot use the authentication method. Version 2, it supports authentication.
Okay, one difference. Any other?
Hop count in RIP 1 it is 15. I hope in RIP 2 it's 255.
No.
No.
Hop count is same. Protocol is same. Chetna, okay?
Okay.
RIP
The
is
one is classful and another one is classless. That's
perfect. Perfect. Another example.
big difference.
Another difference. Yes. Classless and classful. Right? Another difference. Version 2 sends update via multicast. Right? Everyone? Multicast.
Yes.
If you guys are facing problem in RIP, OSPF, and BGP stories, so please revise your CCNA. Okay, let's try to configure RIP on router. So on router, what we can do? Router RIP is a command. Version 2 I'm using. Network 200.200.0. Network 1.1.1.1. No auto summary. Let's go on R2. So on R2, router RIP version 2, network 10.1.23.0 and 2.2.2. No auto summary. Done. Now let's go on to the firewall box. And I'm trying to configure RIP here. You can see guys version 1 and version 2. So I'm using version 2 here. Okay, here you can advertise your network. So as per our topology, we have 200 network and 10.1.23 network. So let's advertise here 200.200.200.0/24 and one more network I need to advertise 10.1.23.0/24. Now you can click on apply. Done. RIP configuration. You can verify here. You can verify on firewall. Get router info routing table on. So you guys can see we are receiving route information with R, right? With R. R is called what? RR. It's not RRR, it's RR. R is called what? RIP. So if anyone trying to go on 1.1.1, AD value is 120. What is AD value? AD value is administrative distance, and here in RIP, what we have? 120. See? And this is what hop count. So if anyone trying to go on 1.1.1, they can go via this side. They can go via this is the gateway, this is exit interface, and we are receiving route information with R. R is called RIP. Clear now?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, now see, yes. So you guys can select your version, you can advertise your network, click on apply, done configuration. But in case if you want to configure or use other option in RIP, you can. Like for example, you can see here is an interface. You can click on create new and you can see you can enable passive interface, or you can use passive interface option, or you can implement authentication. Passive interface, if you guys are remember in CCNA classes, passive interface is a common concept for RIP, for EIGRP, for OSPF. So I'm not telling you the story, what is passive interface, but here I'm telling you in case like other vendor, other router, if in case if you want to enable passive interface, if you want to use any interface as a passive interface in RIP, you can just select your interface and you can enable. Yes, Jatinder, any question?
No, sir.
Okay, so you guys can select your interface and you can just enable. What is passive interface? Please revise your season. Okay, what is the concept? Okay, I'm not discussing about concept, but yes, you can enable passive interface here. And it's a common concept, everyone. Passive interface is a command you can use in RIP, in OSPF, in EIGRP. So here you can enable. Concept is here, you can enable. Now, if you talk about authentication, so yes, authentication is a common concept for all protocol. If you guys are familiar with the authentication concept, so we have two type of authentication. First one is called simple password authentication, and second is called MD5. MD5 authentication. RIP, OSPF, it support simple password authentication. Okay, RIP support MD5 also, RIP and OSPF. EIGRP, PGP, it supports only MD5 authentication. So in RIP and OSPF, both options are available, simple password authentication and MD5 authentication. You can see if you enable this option, you can see clear text. Either you can go with the clear text or you can go with the MD5. I'm not configuring, I'm giving you idea. You can enable. You can go with the simple password authentication, you can go with the MD5 authentication. Okay, everyone, clear now, Sachin, Vipul?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes, sir. Now, in case if you want to configure some advanced option, so you can go with the advanced option. You can see here you can define metric. So RIP always work with hop count, right? Hop count. So in case if you want to change your hop count, you can change here. In case if you want to inject any default route in RIP, you can just enable this option. In RIP, we have timers. If you guys are remember, we have timer, update timer, flush timer. Same options are available. Update, timeout, garbage. You can change your timer as per your requirement. Okay, you can redistribute any dynamic routing protocol or any routing method in RIP. What is redistribution? Any idea?
Like two different protocols can talk to each other.
Thank you so much. Redistribution is what? In redistribution, two different protocol, they can communicate. Okay, they can exchange routing protocol information with each other. For example, here we have R1, R2, and R3. So in between R1 and R2, we are using RIP protocol. For example, in between R2 and R3, we are using OSPF. So what you can do, you can exchange RIP protocol information with OSPF with RIP. What you can do, you can configure a distribution on R2 onto this common router. So here is a concept. For example, I want to redistribute OSPF. You can just enable, you can click on apply. Done. Clear now, Jitinder, RIP configuration?
Yes.
Chetna, Sachin, Samir, Vipul?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now let's configure our OSPF now. Wait. So I need to delete this RIP configuration on R1. Wait. No router OSPF 5. Sorry, no router RIP. You can go on R2. No router RIP. Now let's configure OSPF on this R1 and R2. So OSPF works with area concept, right? People? Sachin, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
OSPF always work with area concept, and we need to create area 100, right? Area 100 is a backbone area, right, people?
Yes, sir.
Area 100 is a backbone area, right?
Right.
No. Sachin?
Area 0.
Yes, area 0 is a backbone area. Please revise your season, everyone, okay? So in OSPF, we are working with area concept, and you need to create area 0 first. Area 0 is called backbone area, or you can say transit area. If you are creating multiple areas, so the rule is what? All the area must be directly connected with the area 0. This is the concept.
For the communication.
Yes. So So what we can do right now, what we are doing, I'm trying to advertise all my devices in area 0. I'm telling you how to advertise network into area. So right now I'm advertising all the devices into area 0. So let's configure OSPF on R1, OSPF on R2, OSPF on firewall. So command is what? Router, OSPF, process ID, network, 200, 200, 200.0 and wildcard mask. Area 0. Network 1.1.1, wildcard mask. Area 0. Let's go on to the R2. R2 router, OSPF, process ID 10.1.23.0, wildcard mask. Area 0. Network 2.2.2.2, wildcard mask. Area 0. Done. Done. Now let's go on firewall device. So on firewall, you can click on OSPF. So in firewall, in OSPF, we can define router ID concept. Router ID. What is router ID? Any idea?
It is the identification of router within the area.
Within an area. Okay. 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 How to elect a router ID? Sachin?
Highest loopback address is considered as a router ID.
Perfect. If I don't have any loopback, then
Highest interface ID.
highest physical interface, right? Otherwise, you can configure router ID manually, right, everyone?
Yes.
So here, what I'm doing, I'm trying to configure router ID manually. For example, 55.55.55.55. Now here is the option you can create area, and here is the option you can advertise your network into the area. So you can click on create new, you can create your area. So what we have, type regular area. It means area 0, 10, 20, 30, 40. It's a regular area. If you guys are familiar with the OSPF CCNP concept, it's a CCNP concept. NSSA area and stubby area. NSSA is what? It's LSS 7. So these are what? These are OSPF spatial area. In case if you want to configure, option is here. Not so stubby area and stubby area. But right now we are configuring regular area to area 0, and now I'm creating area 0. So 0.0.0.0. You can click on OK. It's area 0. Let's create area 10. For example, 0.0.0.10. Area 10, 20. So 0.0.0.20. It's a regular area. Done. So you guys can create areas here and see. Here is the option authentication. So remember everyone, in OSPF we have two type of authentication, right? Area level authentication and interface level authentication. Remember? So if you are creating area, you can enable authentication here. See, option is here. You can go with the clear text authentication or simple password authentication, or you can go with the MD5. No problem. I'm only giving you idea. I'm not configuring, but I'm giving you idea. You can go with the area level authentication. You can create your area and you can enable authentication on area. It's called area level authentication. We have another option. It's called interface level authentication. So you can configure. If you want, you can configure. So now, once you create your area, then you can advertise your network. You can click on create new. You can define your network. So I want to advertise 200.200.200.0/24. I want to advertise in area 0. You can click on OK. Done. Now 10.1.23.0/24 area 0. You can click on OK. Done. Configuration. You can click on apply. Done. You can click on apply. You can go and check here. For example, see OSPF process. You can check on firewall. Get router info routing table all. So yes, we are receiving route information with O. Sachin, Vipul, Samir, Jatinder, Chetna. We are getting
Yes.
information with O. O is called what, everyone? O is called OSPF. So we are receiving route from same area. Clear now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now let's configure. Okay, in case if you want to use advanced configuration in OSPF, yes, you can do, no problem. Like you can click on interface, create new. You can see in case if you want to change cost of any interface, so you can select your interface and you can change your cost. You can go with interface level authentication. See, here's the option. You can select your interface and you can go with the authentication option, clear text or MD5. So either you can go with the area level authentication, or you can go with the interface level authentication. It's up to you. Okay, you can change timer here. So in OSPF we have hello timer and dead interval timer. In case if you want to change, you can change. Now, if you click on advanced option, you can inject any default route in case if you want. And passive interface, I told you, passive interface is a common concept for RIP, for OSPF, for EIGRP. So like RIP, you can enable passive option on any interface. So you can select, for example, port number 7, I want to use as a passive interface. You can redistribute any protocol into OSPF. For example, I want to redistribute RIP protocol. You can enable, you can click on apply. Done. OSPF configuration. Clear now my point? Vipul, Chetna, Jatinder, Sachin,
Yes.
Samir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now let's talk about our last advanced routing protocol option. It's called BGP. So wait, I need to delete. So BGP is called Border Gateway Protocol, right, everyone? BGP is a Border Gateway Protocol. It's called it's EGP protocol, Exterior Gateway Protocol. So BGP we can configure. So I'm trying to configure BGP in between R1 and firewall. For example, R1 is a part of AS number. Wait. So R1 is a part of AS number 100, for example. AS 100, and firewall is a part of AS number 200. AS 200. So let's configure BGP in between these two AS 100 and AS 200. So how to configure BGP on router? If you guys are remember BGP configuration, so command syntax is what? Command syntax is router BGP and local autonomous system number. So I'm on R1. Autonomous system number is what? 100. In BGP, we are using neighbor command, right? Neighbor. So I can define my neighbor IP address. So neighbor IP address is 200, 200, 200.1. Okay, wait, let's disable OSPF first. No router OSPF. Right. Now router BGP 100, neighbor 10, neighbor 200.200.200.1, and this neighbor is a part of remote AS 200. Done. Now you can advertise your network. So 200.200.200.0 mask, because in BGP we are using mask command. We have another network 1.1.1.1 mask 255, 255, 255, 255. Done. Exit. Now on firewall we have same syntax. Let me show you. See, if you configure BGP on firewall, so you can click on BGP. See, he's asking for local AS. So local AS is what? 200. So local AS is 200. It's a 200. Router ID you can configure, for example, 7.7.7.7. Now it's asking for neighbor. See, same command syntax. Neighbor IP address. You can click on create. So neighbor is 200.200.200.10. It's a router IP address. And this router is a part of remote AS 100. You can click on OK. Done. Now you can advertise your network. For example, 200.200.200.0/24. Now 10.1.23.network/24. You can click on apply. Done. BGP configuration. Apply. Done. Now you can check your routing table information. So see, BGP neighbor is up. On router, we can use a command show IP BGP summary to verify our neighbor information. So our neighbor is 200.201. You can verify routing table information, show IP BGP, show IP route. Okay, please wait. This will take time. Let's verify on firewall now. Get router info, routing table, all. Yeah, okay. OSPF, wait. Apply, wait guys. Now let's verify routing table again. So get router info, routing table, all. Please wait, this will take time. Yes. On firewall, we are receiving some route with B. B is called what? BGP. Clear my point? Chetna, Jatinder,
Yes, sir.
Vipul, Sachin, Samir.
Yes, sir.
Everyone, this
Yes,
is what our topic is called, routing configuration on Fortinet firewall box. Routing configuration. Now, next topic, we can discuss NAT. Okay, we can start NAT concept from next session. Okay. Bye, guys. Take care, everyone. Good night.
Okay, sir.
Yes.
Bye.
Everyone, good
Sir,
night.
please
Everyone.
just send us the lab in I mean
I will
after
share. Okay, I will free at 11 p.m. I will share. No problem. After 2 hours, I will share. Jatinder, okay?
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Good night, everyone.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.